how do we actually create an organizational system where Agile can actually work? Put up your hand if you've seen some level of success with Agile. Wonderful. Put up your hand if you have not been able to realize the full success of Agile that you'd like to, that you see challenges. Okay, you guys get why we're here. This is what I'm here to talk about. This is what I'm here to talk about. We know from industry research from version 1, I know this if I conducted a poll, I said, what are the challenges of Agile? It's the same all over the world. It's with culture, it's with people not understanding the mindset, it's with leadership, it's about management not getting it. If we look at the research, we see that culture is the #1 challenge with Agile. That Agile has been incredibly successful. It's embedded now all over the world in almost every single major organization. But we're not getting the full benefits. We know that the challenges we have are because we're not looking at culture. We're not looking at leadership. We're not looking at how we approach organizational change. We're doing it as business as usual, and it's not working. Put up your hand if the primary focus of your Agile initiative is around process and practices. Put up your hand if the primary focus is around the mindset and the culture and the way of doing things. That's wonderful to see. So I'm here to talk about what may that actually look like to get a deeper level of success. So where to next? Okay, let's go here. So what I'd like you to do is take 2 minutes to stand up, get into a pair with someone you do not know, introduce yourself, and discuss whether Agile is a means or Agile is the end. So take 2 minutes to discuss, introduce yourself, discuss, is Agile the means or is it the end? When I say means, is it the way we get to success? Or is it the end? Is it the success we're looking for? We're trying to do Agile, be Agile. Meet your neighbor, introduce yourself, you got 2 minutes. So if you're not familiar with this, this is the #1 facilitation technique for high performance. Is you put up your hand, and if you see someone with their hand up, you finish what you're saying, and then you put your hand up. Or if you're listening, you put your hand up. And it's a way for us to collaborate as a large group of people. So if you didn't know that, you just learned #1 high performance facilitation technique to support collaboration, which is what Agile's about. So put up your hand if you believe that Agile is the end, Agile is the goal, Agile is what we're trying to make happen in the world. Put up your hand if you believe Agile is the end. Any Agile is the end? Okay, put up your hand if you believe Agile is the means. Okay, so then if we start there, I'd like you to just do a reality check. In your organizational systems, do people talk about Agile as the goal or have an Agile initiative or an Agile transformation? Anyone have those out there? Stop it! You know it's not the goal. You just figured that out. Why on earth are you doing it? You guys getting this? That's takeaway #1. Stop it. Most of the problems with success with Agile have to do that we're doing business as usual. We're operating the way we were taught by our parents in our schooling and education systems, and that doesn't work because Agile is about a different way of working. Agile is about fundamentally different. So if we want to get to a different outcome, we need to operate differently. So #1 tip, Agile, stop it. Or change the big A Agile to a little a Agile. We're trying to be little a Agile, nimble, flexible, responsive to our environment so we can survive as an organization. That's what agility is about. That's what Joshua was pointing at this morning in his keynote. It's not about doing Agile. It's not about being Agile. Put up your hand if you've ever considered yourself an Agile evangelist or really very, very excited about Agile, or you are excited about Agile right now. Okay, so the truth is this part of you has to die. If you want to be successful. If you want to be successful. It works very simply. Could I ask you to be my volunteer? This is great. So just hold out your hand. Okay, I'm going to push. Now you push back. Okay, great. Now so I'm pushing, and he's resisting, right? So go on, resist me. Go on, resist me. Resist me. Thank you. Who was creating the resistance? Who was creating the conflict? I was. If you're seeing any conflict in your organization, if you're seeing any resistance, who's the problem? Yeah, you are. So, 2 words, stop it. Stop creating resistance. Stop pushing. Let's just check. Is Agile about push or is Agile about pull? Pull. Wait, Agile's about pull. Why do we go around pushing? We're smart people. Everyone in this room is a smart person. Why do we push? What's that?
Creating pull is hard.
Creating pull is hard. Okay, so this is the trick, right? If you really want to succeed with Agile, Agile is about pull. You can only use pull. You can never use push to create pull environments. It doesn't work. That's the story of almost, well, I don't know, not every single, but 95% of all Agile transformations. They're all push programs, and they do not succeed. People wait 18 months to 3 years for the push to end, and then they go back to business as usual. This is the industry standard we have in Agile, and it has to stop. And it starts with us, because we're the ones who are pushing. We're the ones, when we're brought into organizations, we get asked by management to push, train and coach people and make them Agile, and we do it. When we, as a community of coaches, change agents, managers, executives, stop pushing, we can have success. So let's look at this for a moment. Organizationally, how are we doing this? How are we pushing? What are some of the words we use that tell us we're pushing? Just shout out. Adoption, yes. What else? Transformation. Great. What else? Standards, yeah. Commitment. What are the things leaders say about the Agile change initiatives? We're trying to do what change? Enable change. Empowerment. Transformation. Usually I hear words like drive. Anyone heard the word drive? Or make? Yeah? Those are all code words for push. When we operate from an Agile way, we invite, we inspire, we co-create. This is what we do. Now the thing is, how do we start showing up in this way? How do we even get to be this way? The challenge is that we've been conditioned by society. But everyone here is a thinking, functioning human being. You have an option to look at your behavior. Between stimulus and response, there's a space where you can choose how you respond. And the challenge of us as human beings and the environments we're in, we get asked again and again to use this push way of working, to make people do things. We're asked to have the whole organization Agile by the end of the year. What can we do differently? Has anyone ever seen, has anyone ever noticed in the grass that every summer you see these dandelions? They're weeds and we don't pull them out, right? But the dandelions actually tells a very beautiful story of growth, and a very natural, organic way of growth. And this is how real Agile change initiatives actually work. It's about a dandelion. You blow on it, all these little seeds go everywhere. And that where they land on fertile soil, they'll grow, and they'll sprout, and it'll be really amazing. Similarly, if we come into contexts where there is fertile soil, people will just start naturally doing it. We don't need any push. People will just pull it because they value it. So the dandelion points us to.
What I found.
This is what I found. Is that when we go where the energy is. Imagine if you spent your day, whether you're a leader or a coach, with the people who want to grow, and you help them. You will have a good day. They will have a good day. It's a strong recipe for success. It's only when we try to push people, make them do something they don't want to do, that we get into challenges. So coming back to this dandelion example, when the dandelion seeds fall on concrete or infertile soil, what happens to them? They die. This is what happens when we push Agile across the organization. Most of it just dies. Once in a while, it lands on little bits of fertile soil. So I'm going to talk to you about, I see there's a whiteboard marker here. There's also a flip chart marker. I'll use this one. So we're all interested in a thing called this thing called Agile. Or some of you may be interested in something else besides Agile, like DevOps or innovation or engaged workers or whatever it is. And the challenge is when we just start from this place, we do something very silly. We put on what I call the Agile blinders on. You know, all we see is Agile. Is this Agile? Are you doing Agile? Are you being Agile? Are we Agile enough? What are our Agile metrics? Are you guys Agile compliant? How Agile are you guys? And it's really damaging. So my advice is stop it. If Agile is the means, what is the end? The end is an organizational and cultural context where Agile can work. So we don't start with Agile. When we create an organizational cultural context in an organization, we can create an environment where Agile can grow. And this is where the seeds come in. If from a gardening perspective, you don't just plant seeds and hope they grow. Oh, we planted these seeds and they're not growing. Oh, maybe we need water. Yeah, let's give them water. Oh, they're still not growing. Oh, we need some nutrients. Oh, well, we didn't actually prepare the soil properly. That's mostly what we do with Agile transformation programs. It is dumb, and we need to stop it. The alternative is what I'm giving you here, which is what I call consciously approaching Agile. Einstein has this fabulous quote that if we want to get different outcomes, different things that happen to solve our problems really at a fundamental way, we need to approach it with a different consciousness. So step one, take off the Agile blinders. Step two, look at the organizational and cultural context. And there's a fantastic question you can ask. The question is called why. See, why do we want this Agile initiative? Put up your hand if you've asked that question in your organizations already. That's fantastic. Put up your hand if you think you could ask that question again to really get clear why you're actually doing it. Okay? This is the magic question, because it stops us from looking at this and say, why are we trying to do this? There are really good reasons, like organizational survivability. Most organizations we're in are not set up to compete in the current world we're in. They're set up to go to business because we don't build products that millennials want to buy, or we can't hire millennials into our company because our workplace sucks so badly. Right? This is the truth of it. Or that we know that if a Google or a Facebook or some other innovator enters our space, we'll go to business. This is the kind of competitive world we live in. So unless we create an organizational context that's high performance, there is no way we can survive. So what I'm giving you here is a download of how do we take off the Agile blinders. Agile's amazing. But there's a trap in it. It's focused very much on the team. For whole organizational success with Agile, we need to look beyond the team. We need to look at the individual, or I'll just put people. And we need to look at the organizational context. We need to look at both of these things. Right? So Agile's done a fantastic job, team, check. But not with the whole organizational system, not with talking about how we need to show up as leaders. So let's continue exploring that. So when we think about high performance, we're talking about high performance organizational survivability. We know that culture eats strategy for breakfast. That culture is the game, that when we have a high performance culture, we get high performance in our organization. That is what will lead to our success. This morning, Joshua was talking about Amazon. Does anyone know the case study of who did Amazon buy that was a competitive threat? Whole Foods, and a little bit longer ago was Zappos, right? Because Zappos had a higher performance organizational culture, and Amazon knew they'd go to business. They had that much foresight, so they bought them rather than face the competitive threat of a superior culture. Culture is the game. So the question is, how do you shift your organizational culture? Or how does organization get created? Well, it's a complex system. So it got created over a period of time. But who is responsible? Who has the most influence on shaping the culture of the organization? Leaders. So leaders are actually the ones who actually create this organizational cultural context for success. And I'm going to explain how this works. It's very, very, very simple. If you go into most organizations, and when I say leader, creating organizational cultural context, this is at any level of the hierarchy. Put up your hand if you're like responsible at a team level, either a team lead, team manager, scrum master, those people. Any people like one level up from that, like director? Any people like another higher up than that, managers, executives? Any of those people in the room? Great. Yeah, so regardless of what level you're at, it's about how do you create that organizational context within your part of the hierarchy. All of us can act as leaders in this way to support that. So usually when we're working with these leaders, the conversation, I've worked as an external coach, consultant, trainer for a number of years. The conversation usually comes like this. They say, well, my organization, it has some sort of operational characteristics. Kind of rigid, slow, too long to get to market, too costly to do things. And we say, okay, great. We say, well, who's responsible for all the good things here? They say, well, we as the leadership team are. And again, this could be for the whole organization. This could be for a subset of the organization, just a department or something. And we say, great. Now, you're saying that you want, through Agile, you want some sort of different kind of organization with different organizational properties, denoted by this squiggly line. They say, yes, we want to, you've heard us, we want to be faster, we want to have better quality products, we want to engage workers. We say, great, well, what's happening here? Do we have the same leadership behaviors here or different leadership behaviors for this differently operating organization? And they'll go, okay, wait a second. Yeah, we'd actually need different leadership behaviors here. Because what happens here in the organization is a fractal of what happens here. If we have collaboration and trust on our management team and alignment on our management team, we're going to have collaboration and trust down here in our organization. Does anyone right now in your organization have challenges with collaboration, trust, living the Agile spirit down here between teams? Yeah, anyone have challenges between teams? Yeah, so let me just ask you, put your hand up in the air if you have challenges here, but everything's great here. Anyone like that? Okay, so I think we just demonstrated this model holds, right? So then, at that point, we're seeing that whatever happens in the organization is simply a fractal of what's happening in the leadership team. The leadership team is aligned, has coherence, has trust, there's safety. People make mistakes and celebrate mistakes and learn and grow from them. We have a learning culture. We model that here. We'll get it in the rest of the organization, right? That's what this is. It's like an organization that's performing differently. So at that point, leaders have some options. These leaders, they say they're responsible. They have a couple options. Option number one, is this safe? I don't know, I'll leave it here. Okay, option number one is these leaders can grow into being these leaders. Option number one, they can learn how to value people as human beings, because Agile is about people. They can learn how to learn and grow themselves and celebrate learning and growth. They can grow to become these leaders so that they can foster an organizational context where this kind of result happens. That's option one. Option two is they may have stock options or stock in the company and say, well, I want my stock to be valuable, so I need to fire myself because I don't want to do that. So they exit the system, and we promote people internally or from outside to become these leaders. Option two. Or option three, they say, well, actually, now that you're telling me all the work that's required, I don't want this anymore. You know how I said I want a high-performance organization so we can thrive in the future? Now that I understand I have to grow to get that, I don't want that anymore, right? And this is normal. Like, I'm not saying there's any judgment. Put up your hand if you ever had like a New Year's resolution. Anyone? Keep your hand in the, did anyone ever find a challenge? You may have noticed this with you or other people, that people want to do something, but when it comes to actually doing it, sometimes our willingness wanes, right? So this is what it actually takes to actually create an environment, an organizational culture where Agile can work. we don't need, what we actually need is people who are growing. We actually need what I call leadership. Right? I have to say it twice. We need leaders who lead. Right? That's what it means to be a leader, is to lead people. Right? When we have leaders who are leading in their own behavior, modeling their own behavior to say, this is how I show up, we get incredible results. Now, how did I notice this? How did I notice this? Well, what happened is I was working, and really my dream was to help build high-performance teams, organizations, help create places where people actually want to come to work, where they're engaged. And I noticed that engagement after engagement, I wasn't fully satisfied. I wasn't really helping the organizations as deeply as I could. And I noticed this was a shared problem between the whole Agile coaching world. And I noticed, when I was looking really carefully, that I could only go as far as the most senior leader. If I was working with a manager and the manager really got it and understood Agile and lived kind of an Agile way of being and lived the Agile mindset, then we could go really, really far. Or if it was a VP or CEO, we could go really, really far. But if they only partly got it, they didn't really operate with a new way of being, they didn't really operate with the Agile mindset, support a high-performance culture, that was the limit. And then I was looking at this problem going, well, for me to be successful with my dream, I need to help these leaders grow. And then this is where I had this aha moment. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, Michael, can you help these leaders grow? Are you set up that way? And the answer I got back and gave to myself was, well, Michael, no. You're a well-intentioned asshole. There's no way you can help them. This is the truth. I was just stating the truth. That's how we grow. We got to start with the truth. And so then I had a choice. I could let go of my dream of helping the companies, or I could grow. And that's when I made the decision in my mind that that's the kind of life that I wanted to live, that I wanted to grow myself. So what I'd like you to do, I actually ask a question of you guys right now. Put up your hand if, in your organizational context, leaders need to grow to create a high-performance organization, one that can survive in the future. Put up your hand if, in your organizational context, the leaders need to grow. Okay, great, thank you. Put up your hand if, in your organizational context, the leaders are great exactly the way they are, they've done all the growth they need, and they're perfect. Okay, so you see what's required. Do you guys get now how Agile is more than just practices? It's more than process. Agile is pointing us to how do we build a high-performance organization. This is your reality check. Just write reality check. Do you have leaders who are ready to go first, to model the new way of working? Yeah, just check, right? If you do, you're in really good shape, right? Now, I'm going to share a story about Mahatma Gandhi. So Mahatma Gandhi is this great sage. He helped liberate India from the British. And people from all over India came to him because he was a great sage for wisdom. And this one woman had a challenge with her son. Her son was eating too much sugar, and she'd done everything to try to get help for her son, and nothing was working. So in desperation, she got on a bus with her son for 24 hours to travel all the way to visit Gandhi. And she waited in line and waited and waited. And she finally got her turn, and she explained the situation to Gandhi. So Gandhi, can you please help my son? Gandhi looks at her, looks at the boy, and says, ma'am, I'd really love to help you. I can't help you today. Come back in 1 month. So the woman travels for 24 hours back to her home village, stays there for a month, travels 24 hours back to visit Gandhi, waits her turn in line, and she comes up to Gandhi with her boy, and she goes, oh, and she starts to explain the whole situation. And Gandhi says, no, 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 I know who you are, I remember. And then Gandhi looks at the boy and says, boy, stop eating sugar. And the mother was just kind of bewildered. And then she looked at her boy and she goes, she understood. Mother's intuition, she knew the boy had got it. He wasn't going to eat sugar anymore. His health would be okay. And first she was feeling so much joy. Oh, my son, he's been saved. Gandhi helped him. But then she started feeling like this little funny thing, and she started getting angry. It's like she traveled 24 hours on a bus both ways twice. And then she got angry and started shouting at Gandhi, "Why didn't you tell him this last time we were here?" And she started shouting on this great sage Gandhi. And Gandhi got very apologetic and sheepish. He said, "Ma'am, I'm so sorry. But a month ago, I was still eating sugar." And this is how it is. For all of us, when we're in this leadership role, unless we're modeling this new way of working, unless we're actually living agile, unless we're actually operating with collaboration, unless we're valuing people, unless we're fostering high levels of safety for those around us, unless we're using invitation, unless we stop pushing, we cannot get the success we want. We need to model the behaviors. Now, this is where everyone in the room comes in. This is you. All of us here are working with leaders. All of us. In a high-performance organization, it's a leader-leader model. We create other people to celebrate them, to help them become incredible leaders. If we're working with executives, managers, we want to work with them to model the change in ourselves of this different way of working, so to inspire them to operate differently. With our peers, the same thing. With people, if you're in a management role, or you're a coach, or a scrum master, people who are on our team or report into us, it's about helping them become leaders so they create an organizational and cultural context for high performance where we can invite Agile in. This is what I call consciously approaching Agile. It's a principled way to build deep, lasting change within organizations. And here's the part where everybody here wants the actionable takeaways. And the thing is, you've already gotten them. You've already gotten the action steps. The problem is not we do not know what to do. That's not the problem, is we don't know what to do. The problem is that we're doing all these things that are causing harm. Okay? So what I'd like you to do is get into pairs with someone you haven't met yet, introduce yourself, and I'm going to ask you to do two things. One thing is start with, you don't, hopefully with someone you don't know, or someone you do know if you have courage, is to start with a confession. This is how I've caused damage with Agile. This is how I've pushed. Start with standing in the truth of what's happened and just acknowledging what's happened. And then talk about how you can use this model in your environment. So you're going to have a couple of minutes. So stand up, meet someone new. You're at a conference for networking. Stand up, meet someone new, and discuss those two things. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, so let's take one or two insights. So just stand up and share an insight you've had from what we've talked about so far.
The amount of harm one can do, from my point of view, that I can do, is actually exponential. So it's just so easy to cause harm.
Thank you.
It's the shame of knowing that you can't overcome the thinking at the top levels, and you're being the rah-rah instead of the facilitator.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so in the certified agile leader training that I do, unpack all of this. Like, how do you actually do step by step, have those conversations, and so on. Right now, for now, it's really asking, what do the leaders of the system want for themselves, right? Because they have the power. So if they want to grow, great. If they don't want to grow, that's their choice. And for us, it's really about how do we show up in a way to have that conversation without being an evangelist, without pushing, without our agenda. Because that's one of the secrets of success that I've unlocked, is huge, 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 letting go and seeing how deeply our agenda actually sits inside of ourselves. So I'm going to give you something that you may have some awareness right now of some things you could be doing differently. So what I'm going to give you right now is a very practical, powerful tool for changing your behavior, right? Because often we do these things unconsciously, being conditioned by society and so on. So I'm going to give you the 4A's conscious leadership model. So this is a model that I created to help leaders get very, very rapid growth in shifting personal behaviors. So the very short version is to stand in the truth. It turns out when we stand in the truth of how we are and we look at what's really happening with ourselves, we can grow. When we stand over here in the place of deception, denial, etc., we make plans based on deception, denial, candy coating, and they don't work. Leadership is the hard work of building character, and to do that we need to stand in the truth. So stand in the truth is not strong enough guidance. You go, well, how do I stand in the truth? That's where the 4 A's come in. The very first A is for awareness. You need to have awareness of what is showing up. How are you showing up as a leader that's leading to challenges? So this morning Joshua was talking about safety. Some of you may be like me, you just talk too much. Anyone have that? Yeah. Anyone have, interrupting other people while they're talking? Anyone have that one? Yeah. You don't have to put your hand up. You just need to admit to yourself and stand in the truth with yourself. Thank you for those who put up your hands, by the way. I know there are more people out there. That's okay. Maybe the safety levels here is not high enough for you to put up your hand. Maybe you got coworkers here. I don't know what the story is. But it's okay. Like, it's not your fault. Like, nature created you that way. But you have a choice today of what do you want to do about it. What do you want to do about the situation? You've arrived at this way as a human being. What do you want to do for yourself? How do you want to show up as a leader? So the first step is awareness. Now, it turns out you may not know what you're doing wrong as a leader. Right? So it's really simple. You just ask the people you work with, hey, you know what? I really aspire to be a great leader. Can you tell me how I suck? Anyone out there have kids? Yeah, kids are really great. Hey kids, I'm not as good a mom or dad as I'd like to be. I aspire to really be a really great mom or dad. Could you tell me what I'm doing not so well? It'll be the best day of their life, right? So the problem with awareness is solvable, and it just requires courage and a desire. If you're ready to grow as a leader, you can get the data that you need to grow. So first step is awareness. The second one is really acknowledging that it's true. So I call it acceptance. The default that we go into is denial. Oh, it's not really that bad. I don't really interrupt people that often. Oh, I don't really talk over other people that much. I really actually listen to other people. Yeah, you got to get through the lies and stand in the truth. And acceptance really means looking at what are the consequences in your life of that behavior. How does the interrupting, the not listening, how do all these behaviors, whatever your behaviors are, how does that impact your success as a leader? Right? That's acceptance. When we stand in the truth, we fully accept and acknowledge it, then we're set up for growth. The next piece is aspiration. Aspiration. Knowing that's true, what do I desire for myself? Oh, I interrupt people. My desire is that I don't interrupt people, that I wait for them to finish speaking, then I speak whatever I need to speak. And that then I actually listen to them while they're speaking. Aspiration, having a clear intent for what it is that you desire for yourself. This alone will lead to growth. And the way it leads to growth is something like this. Imagine you have an intention, you're not going to interrupt people. You're going to listen to them fully. And sometime during the day, between, let's say, 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock, you actually interrupted someone. Right? When you're just starting on this process, you may not notice till you're spending 5 minutes at your review before you go to bed. And you go, oh, I just did that. Oops. And maybe the next week you'll realize in your drive home, why did that meeting go so badly? Oh, it's because I interrupted that person, and I wasn't really listening. And then maybe it'll happen right after you leave the meeting. And then maybe it'll happen right while you're in the middle of interrupting, you'll realize it. So this is the process through awareness, just through these first 3 A's. We can cause our brain, the neurological wiring in our brain, to start shifting. Right? Because we have these automatic programs that we're following, so we need to rewire our brains. I'm giving you the script to rewire your brain for success. Now, the last A is how to turbocharge it. And it's ask for help. Ask for help. So this is asking for those people who want you to be magnificent, who want you to be a great leader, a great mom or dad, a great teammate, a great manager. Making sure they understand what your awareness and acceptance is, what your aspiration is, and say, look, I don't want to do this. I don't want to interrupt people. I actually want to be listening to people when they're talking. Whatever it is for you, you can ask them for help. And when you ask them for help, that's how you can grow very, very quickly. Of course, this takes courage. And if you don't have courage, have an awareness that you don't have courage. And accept that you don't have courage. And have an aspiration, oh, I aspire to have courage. And then ask people for help. So you can, it's a recursive model. Any software developers out there? Mathematicians, yeah. Recursion's really good here. Anytime you get stuck, just reapply the model and whatever you're stuck on, and then work through that. And you'll get unstuck. OK, great. So that's ask for help. What I'd like you to do now is take 2 minutes. We're going to have total silence in this room. And you're going to take 2 minutes to write down and go through this model for 2 or 3 items. Go through the 4 A's. Awareness, acceptance, aspiration, ask for help. Go through 2 to 3 items. I'd like you to write on paper or on your iPad. We're going to have 2 to 3 minutes of silent writing for 2 to 3 items. And just write. What are the personal things that you have in yourself that you want to grow in so you can become a more effective leader to get the outcomes that you want? If you choose to, you can also just close your eyes and contemplate on this. You can do it either way. All right, so we'll have 2 to 3 minutes of silence. Actually, I'm going to put on some music. Hold on. I figured out how to do that. Put up your hand if you're able to identify a couple of things and go through the 4 A's that you could improve with yourself to get more of the results you want, to show up as a better leader who is able to find some things. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so leadership is the hard work of building character. It's so easy for us to gripe, to complain about the leaders in an organization who aren't doing the right things. That's so easy to do, to say it's them. But that's what they're doing. They're saying, oh, it's these workers who aren't motivated, who aren't doing the thing. So we don't want to fall into that trap. We don't want to fall into that trap. Instead, we say, oh, look, how am I contributing to the situation? How can I show up to make a difference? right? Now, everyone here has a choice. I know it's hard out there. I know it can be really, really challenging sometimes in certain work environments. And we have a choice. We can go in every day and grumble and be miserable and frustrated. That's option A. Option B, we can say, what good can I do here? And come with a positive attitude and show up and get amazing results because we're focused on what we can do and success we can have. And there's option C, which is, exit that organization, go somewhere else, right? These are the three options. So my invitation for you is to investigate door B of how can you show up to have a positive impact on those around you with every interaction, right? This is a pretty high bar. With every interaction you would have with every other single person you work with, how can you have a positive interaction? And the 4 A's can help us, guide us in how we grow. And to give you a way to operationalize this, there's a couple of tools that you have in your home. One is a mirror. You may also have these in your office. Is you look in the mirror and say, what am I doing to cause the conflict that's happening right now? So use the mirror. It's really good. The other one is take 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes every day for self-reflection. At least 5 minutes. If you're a leader or a manager or a coach or a scrum master, maybe 5 minutes every hour. I'm not joking. If you want to grow and become an amazing leader and get amazing results, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first, right? Who's heard of that in the airplane? Put the oxygen mask on yourself before helping another. This is what we're talking about. It's not about telling others to change, whether they're people on teams or the leaders in our organization that we want to have different behaviors. It's about putting the oxygen mask on ourselves first and looking at how we're showing up. I was coaching a vice president in a technology startup yesterday afternoon. And he was exactly in this place. He was showing up and being miserable, right? And he wasn't in his positive spirit and attitude. So this is the choice he had. And through this discussion and awareness, he got to the place of being a choice for showing up as a powerful leader and looking at how he was showing up, rather than saying, oh, I can't do anything, it's the leader, blah, blah, blah. Right? So this is the invitation for you, is to look at how you're showing up and how you can create a positive change in your environment. So just to recap, there's some stickers there if you want to take them. You're welcome to do that. This is what we call consciously approaching Agile. And it's really to create we all want Agile to succeed in some way. That's why we're here, this Agile conference. The way to do that is to take off the Agile blinders and look at the larger organizational and cultural context. And we have the right organizational cultural context, Agile just works. Put up your hand if you were at the CBC case study this morning, the CBC one, right? So that's what we did there. That's what I helped them do there, right? It's the leaders went first. It's exactly this model. It's the leaders going first to create an organizational cultural context where Agile could work. And in that organization, we actually waited 2 months before we did any Agile training whatsoever to actually create a context where it would sink in and last. With leaders actually going first and modeling, instead of telling people, hey, we're going to behave that way, modeling a new way of working, modeling different behaviors. This is a proven technique. If you want to go follow up with the people at CBC and ask them more about that, you can go talk to them. So I'm going to share some closing remarks, and then we'll go to Q&A. So I've been working on this for a long time, and I've shared a little bit about what I know right now. So my invitation for you is, if you want to learn more, go to my blog, go to my website, come on one of my trainings. Really, a lot of people are getting tremendous results of learning that we let go of our agenda. When we show up, when we listen, when we look how we're showing up, we can actually start getting very incredible results in the organization we're working with. Thank you. So we've got a few minutes. I'll take some questions. So please just stand up and say your question out loud so everyone can hear it. What questions do you have? Yes, please stand up.
Hi. In a scenario where you're within the team level and you get the big picture, you have a lot more to offer than what you're allowed to voice out to the team and the senior executive leadership layer. How do you influence that you don't come across as too knowledgeable, too aggressive, instead of sitting down like where you are?
Yeah, so the question is, if you're at a team level, you want to have more influence, so you don't come across as too aggressive. Put up your hand if you want more influence. Anyone more influence out there? Yeah, this is really good. We all want to get influence. The secret with influence comes back to this example with the push. We have influence when we stop pushing, when we stop having an agenda. That's how we get influence. And the real test is if you're okay, just run through the simulation of the conversation you want to have with a peer, with an executive, with someone on your team. If you're ready to let them choose whatever they want for themselves, just check with you before you go to the conversation. Is it okay for them to give whatever answer they want? Or do I only want the answer that I want? If you're only going to accept the answer that you want, it means that you're not actually listening. You're not actually ready to show up and connect with them for what they want. It turns out if you help people get what they want, they're really happy. That's called influence, is you help people get what they want.
But your level of transparency is more than what they can handle. That's the kind of influence. When I'm speaking influence, is not me changing their mind, it's educating them where it's not.
Do they want to be educated? If they don't want to be educated, then you're pushing education where they don't want it. Again, this is like the secret here. This is the secret. It's about letting go of our agenda and helping people get what they want. And there's a choice sometimes, because sometimes what they want may be different from what we want. In which case, we can either continue to have conflict with them, we can go along with what they want, or we can go do something else, right? Surreptitiously or leave the organization. Great.
How do we influence leaders that say, make us agile, but then don't give you face time?
Yeah. Yeah, so my secret question is, well, do you want this to be successful? If they say yes, then we say, well, when you say you want agile, why do we want agile? And through that process, they'll start to discover the reason they want agile can't be delivered through training alone. There's actually something that happens to the organizational system to create high performance, right? So that's the secret. That's what I use in my playbook for how do we move an organization towards high performance? How do we have those conversations? And the challenge comes back to this thing about agenda. Because every time I've had an agenda, it hasn't turned out well. I've had years of failure as a coach because I've been pushing, because that's what we got trained to do, or that's what we mistakenly do because of our conditioning and from society. But this really is the secret. Because if they're really happy and that's all they want, there's no room for growth. Right? So it's about helping them connect with what do they want? What does success look like for them? Yeah, thank you. We'll take one more question. Okay.
I think sometimes the push is based on management, after management drive for results. So how would you advise a massive enterprise to embrace the pull versus the push?
Yeah. So the word drive is exactly where we're doing the push, right? We want to drive change to the organization. Put up your hand if you've been asked to drive change or make people change or make them agile. Anyone like that? Okay. So again, back to the question. Well, okay. So just to be clear, you're asking me to drive change in the organization. They're saying yes. You want me to make these people agile? They go yes. Okay, great. What? Can you just remind me? Why do we want agile? Oh, well, we want to have engaged workers who build quality products. Okay. So let's just check it. If we make people do this when they don't really want to do it, how's that going to work out? How's that going to work out? Can we talk about the things that are going to lead to creating engaged workers who build high-quality products? Because that's what they say they want. Then we can broaden the discussion from just agile to this organizational cultural context. That's the super, super short answer. Thank you so much, everyone. Please fill out the feedback cards. Apologies for the AV.